Yeah, stop the clock. Okay.
Ladies and gentlemen, Hugh Evans. He is a community organizer, a software engineer, and a good friend. Here to talk about the Enshittification of Meetup.com. Hugh Evans, everyone.
Hello. Thank you all for having me, and thank you for coming out and supporting CodeBar. They're an organisation right near and dear to my heart, so I'm very glad to see everyone come out to help make what they do possible. Hi, I'm Hugh. As I mentioned, I'm a community organiser, I'm an engineer, and I like to go to meetups in person, meet people, and learn things. I've really enjoyed participating in technical communities. Here's a few of them, of my favourites, not an exhaustive list. I organised this one, shameless promotion there. But this, going to these events has led me to all kinds of rewarding things, like getting involved in community organising, speaking at events, and learning new skills like running AV, doing video editing. Although you wouldn't think that given that I had set my screen up wrong immediately. There you go. It's even got me a job or two, so would thoroughly recommend checking it out, getting involved in organising if that's something you're looking to do. All of these groups have one thing in common. These are some of my favourites, but all of them are primarily hosted through Meetup, which would be fine apart from one thing. Meetup is, Meetup logo appears, I forgot I did that. Meetup is terrible now, it's really bad. The app has severely degraded in quality. Meetup is getting slower, it's getting buggier, it's getting more expensive to use as an attendee, but it gets even worse as an organiser. Costs have gone up, technical issues are plaguing the platform, and key features like stats and custom domains break regularly. It's also getting much harder to cancel subscriptions and step down from groups, which can trap organisers in a predatory pricing model. Don't click this pop-up. If you see this pop-up, you're like, oh no one's organising this group anymore, I want to get involved. This is committing to $180 of spend. There is no way to cancel this other than sending an email to Meetup. That's the end of my rant about how bad Meetup is. Do not click this, it is extremely predatory. I had to get on the phone with Meetup to cancel this for an organisation once, it's not fun. Blogger and journalist Cory Doctorow coined a term for what's happening to platforms like Meetup that degrade in quality and let down their users like this. Enshittification. So here's Cory's definition. First, platforms are good to their users. Then they abuse their users to make things better for business customers. Finally, they abuse those business customers to claw back all the value for themselves. Then they die. Which paints a pretty bleak picture. So, Meetup is terrible now. What can we do about it, as opposed to giving up on these platforms as they fall apart? I would understand also, if you aren't a community organizer or someone who uses Meetup, you might be wondering, why should I care about Meetup being enshittified? But as you may have realized, it's not just Meetup. It's a story for so many platforms, Facebook, Twitter, Etsy, and so on. Platforms that we rely on and use every day just get worse and worse because the incentive there isn't to make a good platform anymore because they've already attracted all the users that they want, it's to make money. The approaches we can take to tackle the challenges presented by the decline of Meetup are approaches that we can take to tackle the decline of platforms at large. So if we want to talk about alternatives to Meetup or a better way of promoting events online, we've got to look at what made Meetup work in the first place and why it became a dominant platform. First, there's the network effect that's at the core of what makes Meetup tick. Meetup created a virtuous cycle where more users attracted more group organisers, which attracted more attendees. This network effect was crucial to Meetup's growth initially and adoption. It means that, at least historically, if you uploaded an event to Meetup Pro, uploaded an event with Meetup Pro, there was a good chance that a lot of people were going to see it. There's also some pretty good tooling in Meetup. It provides specialized tools for event organisers that simplify the process and the logistics of running gatherings. You have things like RSVPs, messaging, payment collection, email lists, and attendance tracking that make it possible for groups to organise complex events with sort of small teams of organisers. And then comes the main one. Oh, hello. Oh, okay. We're just going to pretend that didn't happen. Meetup is very, very well optimized for SEO. When you use a search engine to look for groups in your local area, your groups promoted through Meetup are very discoverable because the first link you're likely to see will be one from a Meetup group. So we need to find a solution, an alternative to Meetup. If we want to leave or if we want to fix Meetup, we need to find something that's going to do all of these things as good as or better than Meetup. Otherwise, we're stuck. So, let's talk about some alternatives. There are a number of alternatives to Meetup on the market. New players like Luma, School, and Odd Circles are offering much better organization and attendee experiences for a fraction of the cost as Meetup, as well as more established platforms like Tito and Eventbrite that benefit from already widespread adoption. I'm assuming everyone bought their tickets through Tito. All of these offer a mixture of features, but in isolation, few deliver all that Meetup did in its prime. Younger platforms simply don't have the same number of users that come from a decade of network effects. And platforms like Eventbrite and Tito are more focused on ticketing and payment than promotion to potential attendees. Ultimately, all of these platforms also are subject to the same risk of enshittification that is destroying Meetup. Moving to a new platform could be a solution here, but it can take significant effort, and as we've seen, it doesn't necessarily solve all of our problems. Okay, what if we didn't need to move to a new platform, but instead built our own central site for attendees to register and link to it from other platforms? This is the premise of Posse, post on your own site, syndicate everywhere, which is an approach to sharing content online, which promises to reduce dependence on third-party apps, and it helps protect your ownership rights of your content. And this is done by keeping all of your data in a central service that you own, and spreading your presence across multiple platforms so that the failure of one doesn't destroy your online presence. Posse isn't for everyone though. Maintaining your own website for your group or hosting your own event tooling requires some technical expertise. Probably not an issue if you're a person in this room, but for society at large, we can't necessarily assume that everyone's happy to buy a domain, stand up a server, and set all that up. Whilst there are tools and resources out there to make this easier, it can still be time-consuming and potentially expensive. Particularly for smaller or solo organizing teams, the work upfront to get up and running with Posse means that it simply can't compete with the convenience of a single pre-existing platform. So if we want to avoid Meetup's problems, we can up and move to a new platform, or we can try using Posse to break our reliance on one platform. But both of these take a lot of time and effort just to maintain a healthy platform hosting and promoting events, which we sort of already had in Meetup, even though it's getting pretty bad now. What if we could do better than that, though? Oh yeah, I have animations and I forget I have them. I need to stop doing this. I'm like, oh yeah, a punchy moment in my slides. Anyway, here's the, okay. Collaboration. I mean, you can have some more of the GIF for a minute, and then I'm gonna put something else up because the movement I find distracting. Collaboration with organizers of other communities, it is an extremely powerful way to grow your community and to avoid reliance on the network effects of established event hosting platforms by simply working with other organizers to promote events to one another's communities directly, cutting out the platform as a middleman entirely. Just a few examples of collaboration include co-hosting events, cross-promotion, introducing potential speakers to other organizers, and sharing experience with venues, sponsors, or platforms. In my own anecdotal experience as organizing AI and deep learning for enterprise, so shameless plug, again, expect more of those, here in London, I found that events organized in collaboration with other communities can see double the number of sign-ups and are often connected with a spike in the number of registrations for joining the group. More than that though, the support from friends and peers in the community space, whether it be other organizers, speakers, or hosts, can make or break your experience as an organizer. I wouldn't still be running ADL if it weren't for the support network of friends and people in the community who've come and helped out. So if you're thinking of becoming an organizer, on a side note here, or are struggling with managing a community, I can't encourage you enough to seek out other organizers in the space and build relationships through collaboration. All of which is to say, strong in-person networks beat the network effects from platforms every time for promotion, growth, and sustainability of your community. Ran over. If you'd like to learn more about Posse, check out the great explanation resources at indieweb.org. IndieWeb has a bunch of core resources for a bunch of other projects as well, so I thought I'd recommend checking them out. If you're interested in collaborating with other event organizers or are looking for support as an organizer, check out notanother.pizza, Discord server where myself and some other London-based organizers are putting together a group to connect organizers. Leo is tangentially involved in this, as many of you may have guessed. If you enjoyed my talk or didn't, and want to chat more about it, you can find me at qevans.dev. And if you'd like to come along to an AI Deep Learning Enterprise Meetup, it's at able.uk. Finally, I'd like you all to think about the platforms you use, whether it be social media, tools you use at work, or event organizing, or streaming, and consider if they are still meeting your needs for the time and money you invest in them. And if they aren't, maybe consider taking some of the steps I covered here. Together, we can push for platforms that give more and take less. Thank you for listening. Are we doing questions, or am I throwing the mic at you now?
Do we do questions? Who has questions? Anyone have questions?
I have a question.
Who's question?
Fire
Good,
away.
fix it up.
Okay. Oh no. This is intimidating. Yeah, so I guess my question is, on the enshittification of websites, that you call it, I would argue that, that probably happened because VCs 10 years ago, 5 years ago, were just giving money, not asking for profitability. And these platforms grew a lot, and then at a certain point we're like, we need to make it profitable. What we're seeing in the last year or 2 years is that VCs require profitability much sooner. So platforms are being built from the ground up to be profitable. So I guess like the general question is, how do you think that's going to affect the platforms being built right now?
So yeah, I definitely agree with that. Low interest rates, like you do all kinds of fun things with a startup, whether that's like flying the whole company out somewhere or building a platform that's actually worth using. There are lots of companies in the space now who are like self-bootstrapped or are community organizers. I mean, I've seen many such cases. So Guild, for example, there are 2 event platforms called Guild. One of them very sadly went under last year. The other is extremely expensive. Go figure. But I think Testing was the founder there, and like there are people who have been community organizers and who are genuinely like want to build good platforms and good tools for people in the community to use. And I think it's not necessarily the case that all platforms will become crap once they have venture capital money and once they are seeking to make a profit. But I think that has happened to a lot of the big players. I would agree definitely that the current state of the market is pushing for profitability much more than we've seen in the last sort of 10, 15 years. But it is my sincere hope that people can build platforms that aren't subject to the same problems. Whether that be because they have different financial pressures or just they honestly want to build something that people want to use. But yeah, I think we should demand more platforms, and if there are people building good things, then we should try them out.